It's interesting how you talk about the customer's feelings and somehow you're basically empathizing with the customers. Well, not with the customer, with the viewers. They're not customers at this point, they're just viewers. And empathy is something that's a very common activity, or not activity. I don't even want to call it tactic, maybe method that's used a lot in design for building successful products. Because if you don't empathize with the end user, customer, viewer, the person who's gonna benefit from your solution, you're not gonna see success, because you're building something that you think or assume might work or assume they might need. And in design, in product design, many times you basically have to sit down and take that time to sit down with the customers and or future customers to understand what those pains are that they have, and to understand what they see, what they hear, what they feel.
Touching on the design aspect of things, how you mentioned, I love design in a sense of empathizing with your customers and looking to connect on a feeling basis, because in my experience and in my opinion, you cannot manipulate someone through design.
Welcome to the FutureMoose podcast, the #1 podcast for simplifying and growing your business with better design. I'm Adrian Sule, and if this is your first time listening, welcome. So whether you're a tech company founder or product professional and looking to level up your game by scaling and optimizing your products and services faster with world-class design tips and secrets, this podcast is for you. So today we have Christopher Stoikos. He successfully exited a brilliant startup called the Beard Club, and he appeared on ABC's Shark Tank. He's a husband and a father and enjoys knitting and playing roller hockey. And he's launching his new project called Emotional Click. Christopher, welcome to the FutureMoose podcast. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you so much, Adrian. It's an honor to be here.
For those who don't already know you, do you mind giving us a little bit of info about yourself, the companies that you founded, and also maybe an overview of this new recent project and startup you're working on, Emotional Click?
Yeah, for sure. So the Beard Club, as you mentioned, it was a startup that I got into. I was, 7 years ago. I started it with a bunch of friends. We were all living in California at the time. And we saw Dollar Shave Club launch. And I was fascinated with their type of video marketing and the video they did that had so much success. And I myself had started doing video in different ways for some Kickstarter projects and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And it felt like starting the Beard Club was a great way to be able to put my love for video and, at the time, my love for beards, and all the guys I was living with, we were all growing pretty big beards on the line at the same time. And it all kind of came together in a perfect storm. And I was grateful enough to learn how to build a startup from scratch without any formal education, learning as I went, learning with the team that I was working with. And we were able to get it to a place where it was really successful. We did some big numbers in our first year, and 4 years later, ended up having an exit myself.
Wow, that's an amazing story. And also, I bet it involved a lot of hard work also, while, learning things as you build them, basically building an airplane while in flight, I guess. But what drawn you through the whole startup scene? Like, was there an aha moment? Maybe you mentioned that earlier. Basically, you and your buddies growing beards and being around a similar environment and had this idea. But was there an aha moment where you say, okay, it's going to be a brand about beards? And what was the aha moment of that?
So the aha moment was more in general of I'm not sure if it's from watching movies when I was little, or the talk you hear about California and how cool it is growing up. But California always had this glamour and this glitz to me as a place that I wanted to visit and be. And when I went out there, I was in love with its energy and its vibe and how free everything felt.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what drew me to becoming an entrepreneur, being able to work on your own schedule and from home and with who you wanted to. It was very attractive.
Yeah.
So the guys and I that I were working with at the time, we had jumped into a few different endeavors. Some were successful, some didn't take off. So it was always a different mix as to why something worked. But for Beard Club specifically, I felt like there was a big gap in the market with respect to beard oil, and that a lot of men who had beards didn't realize that you need good oil to rub on your beard, actually through your beard right into the hair follicles on your face to keep it moist and keep the skin hydrated underneath. And the only beard oil we could find was $20 a bottle. And
Wow.
we figured, wow, there's a way to do this with good quality ingredients and to start our pricing much lower than that. And it
Mhm.
gave us an edge combined with some good, clever marketing. And we were on the map.
Yeah, talking about that good, clever marketing part, I've been watching some of your ads back in the day, and they are brilliant. Just even you don't even have to read the comments that you see on YouTube. Like it just blows your mind. The techniques you use there. And I'm just trying to lead towards your current project, which I know a little bit about, but I want everyone else to learn more, which is Emotional Click. And also, maybe you can, before you go too deep into Emotional Click and what it is about, maybe you can tell me, how do you find the difference between building a startup that's based around a physical product and service versus this new project and startup you're working on, Emotional Click? It's more of a digital product. Um, what's how do you work around that difference, and from your experience?
Great question. So back then, being in my mid 20s and being a single entrepreneur with all the time in the world, I was putting in, probably close to 100 hours some weeks on the business. So I had the time and the coworkers to be able to push through all of the resistance that comes with getting a physical product into the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work getting samples, testing,
I
dealing with
bet.
suppliers, manufacturers, fulfillment, returns, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the paradox now is that as I'm getting ready to launch a digital product that doesn't have any of that, I'm a father of two girls, and I'm married. And now being in a relationship and having a family, I don't have all the time to put into something. So it's taking almost the same amount of time to grow and to launch something, even though there's less work. But
Right.
I feel a lot more in balance doing it. I'm not glued to the screen as much, and my life feels like it's a lot more well-rounded, which is really
Mm-hmm.
nice. So I feel we're in an age. A lot of people say we're in the digital revolution or the information age, where
Yeah.
information is being sold. So in its simplest form, that's what Emotional Click is. It's an online course that's sold in the form of information.
Got it. No, that's a great answer. And from what you gather so far, what is the exact pain point or problem that this business will try to resolve?
So Emotional Click is, as you touched on, it's an offshoot of what I learned from the marketing that you saw during the
Mm-hmm.
Beard Club days. It was so successful, and our numbers that we did were so wild, almost overnight, that I kept looking at it and going, wow, like video is truly an unmeasurable medium
Mm-hmm.
that has the ability to hit home runs, that has the ability to go galactic. It's not like the traditional CPA running Facebook ads, doing email marketing. Like if you do a really good video and it goes viral,
Yeah.
it can go big. So the pain point that I feel a lot of companies are looking to move through is connecting with their audience emotionally. A lot of companies do great videos, high budget videos, corporate videos, funny videos even, but there's not an emotional connection between the ethos of the brand, like the heart and soul of the brand, and the heart of their customer. The stuff in the video goes into the mind of the customer, and they receive it, they look at it, they absorb what's being watched and marketed to them, but it's not going to their heart, which, in another way of putting it, they're being marketed to their neocortex, which is the part of their brain that's responsible for decision making, opposed to marketing to their limbic system, which is responsible for their feelings. So when you can create a video that has emotion in it and it connects to someone's limbic system, they'll feel the essence of your brand and your offer. And that's where the name Emotional Click comes, because we're connecting with them emotionally, and then they want to click their mouse on the video to come to your website and make a purchase.
That's a great and interesting take on video advertising that I have not heard before. And I emotionally connect with what you just said. I think it makes sense. I've seen a lot of ads that don't make sense, or they just ran past you, like you're looking in void. They don't stick. Not that they don't do a great job at making you, take action. Most do, but you just don't, because you did not connect to them in a meaningful way. So I'm curious to see how Emotional Click does that, or what's the thinking behind making that emotional connection. How, from a technical standpoint, what does that entail, and what kind of feedback? I mean, actually, that's the wrong question. What kind of feedback? Because you already had all that feedback from Beer Club. Yeah.
That was great how you asked that. So the way, the formula, the technical side of how we connect, how Emotional Click teaches you to connect with your audience in this manner, is through feelings. So the feelings that you put into the camera, as you said, when we started talking, or at different times, you've said, hey, your energy seems high today, your energy seems low today. So I can be here and I can be reserved, and I can be talking on a video right now from here, or I could be talking from a video from here and telling you, Adrian, you got to be able to see this, and you turn up your energy. So the energy that you put into the camera is captured by the camera, and then it's felt when someone watches it. So the key here is to be authentic. If you're putting hyped up energy into the camera and you have an agenda that you're looking to get someone's money, in my experience, it does not work. They'll feel it and they fall off. It doesn't stick. But when you have the right energy, and an aligned motivation of what you're looking to convey into the camera, and you speak from feelings, and you speak to the customer's feelings using words like, are you feeling, or are you tired of feeling, or would you like to feel, then you're able to put the person who's watching into their emotional body, into their center, and they're able to relate with what they actually see on the screen. If they feel what you're talking about, what they feel, or if you're saying, are you tired of feeling? And they're like, yes, I'm tired of feeling that, then the emotional connection is made.
Got it. It's interesting how you talk about the customer's feelings, and somehow you're basically empathizing with the customers. Well, not with the customer, with the viewers. They're not customers at this point. They're just viewers. And empathy is something that's a very common activity, or not activity. I don't even want to call it tactic, maybe method that's used a lot in design for building successful products. Because if you don't empathize with the end user, customer, viewer, the person who's gonna benefit from your solution, you're not gonna see success, because you're building something that you think or assume might work, or assume they might need. And in design, in product design, many times you basically have to sit down and take that time to sit down with the customers or future customers to understand what those pains are that they have, and to understand what they see, what they hear, what they feel. And I want to understand from a video standpoint, how would that work? Does Emotional Click take the time, or suggest taking the time to have real conversations with those customers prior to creating a video like that? Because I do understand the unique selling point on Emotional Click in terms of how the videos communicate something through emotions and feelings at the forefront, but I'm not sure I fully get the idea or the picture around having conversation with your target audience before creating that video. How does that part come into play?
Touching on the design aspect of things, how you mentioned, I love design in a sense of empathizing with your customers and looking to connect on a feeling basis. Because in my experience and in my opinion, you cannot manipulate someone through design. You can put your design out there, and then it's up to them to interpret how it makes them feel. In marketing, it's very easy to manipulate, and I've learned a lot of tactics that I've used in the past without even knowing I was doing it, on manipulating the emotions of viewers to be able to get them to make a purchase, and using scarcity tactics like time is running out, or use this coupon code to buy now, buy two, get one free. You say things to people that are very normally used in the industry, but what it's doing is it's projecting fear onto them with a combination of marketing and the words that you use that create an emotional state where they go, uh-oh, like, okay, like a part of me wants this, but I need to purchase it, because if I don't, I'll be missing out, or if I don't, I won't get this in my life, or if I don't, I won't have this feeling. So that's the other unique aspect of Emotional Click, of how it works. So without going into the detail exactly, because that's all within the course, and when you purchase the course, it goes through this in a very cool, detailed, step-by-step method of how to write the script, and then how to go about recording the video on a low budget. You could definitely take the time to talk to your customers. If that's someone who gets Emotional Click doesn't already know how a customer feels and what they go through in their business, definitely reach out, survey them, that kind of thing. But it's usually somebody, well, I would hope that people know what their customers are feeling, because that's who Emotional Click is catered towards. Our target market is people who want to connect and talk to the feelings of their customers.
Okay, got it. And you mentioned that the format for people engaging with this product is basically through learning. So is it a course? Is the format a course that people sign up? And can you tell me, if that's the case, can you tell me a little bit more about the process of that and how it works?
Basically, you jump in and you watch the first video. The first video will say, "Hi, I'm Christopher. Thank you for purchasing Emotional Click. We're going to go through these videos on a step-by-step basis." And you press next, and then the next video comes up. And it's a combination of doing work while writing the script with the prompts that are sent to you in the video that you're watching. And it's broken down into micro segments so that nothing feels overwhelming. You don't skip ahead in your mind to look to write more than I'm actually asking you in the video, because it's a transformative process. It's a very spiritual process, in my opinion. It really opens you up to new viewpoints, shifts beliefs, and changes the way that you feel about marketing. So it's important that when someone's going through the course, you take it slow, and you really feel everything that's changing and observe, whoa, I'm not looking at marketing the same anymore. Okay, I like this. So it's an expansive, transformative learning process.
Got it. So is this product now live, or is it still in pilot mode? What's the current status?
Current status of when we're recording this podcast is it's being built. I'm not sure when you plan on launching, but it's close. It's coming together every day, and I'm also going to be launching a pilot status first, and getting a group of small friends to be able to go through it. People who I know would resonate with the program, the course, I'll say, and then be able to get into a state where it's ready for the public.
And for the audience, what kind of personas or what kind of people would need such a course, or product or service in their life to self-educate on creating better, more engaging videos or ads. Is it aimed at large organizations, small, medium, individuals, influencers? Like who could benefit from this?
All of those, large organizations, small organizations, individuals, influencers, artists, smaller entrepreneurs. I would say that it's least targeted towards large organizations, but because of the state the world's in and how everything's shifting, a lot of large organizations are taking more of the home approach, and people are working at home now, and it's not so corporate. So it can definitely still work for them. After all the what we did with Beard Club, we were a large organization, and this was our style that we did. So the course teaches you, whoever you are, individual, influencer, small organization, large organization, of after you're done the script of how to go about filming this video at your own home, how to go about filming this video somewhere locally, with the simplicity of your iPhone or your smartphone. Because when you're putting feelings into the piece of advertising, having the quality, in my opinion, is not as important. It's an emotional piece of marketing that connects with their heart. So it doesn't actually need to be so extravagant with your 4K cameras and the high budget production and all of that sort of thing.
Oh, got it. I like that. I like that the emphasis is on, let's call it, vulnerability. You don't, show yourself in your day-to-day life using an iPhone, filming yourself or something like that. But I guess that's one side of it. Making things seem natural and, as if you're there with that person. Vivid, put it that way. Because it's true. When I personally, this is just my opinion, but when I look at an ad and it's overly produced, immediately my brain switches to ignore what I'm seeing right now because this is an ad. Whereas what you were saying earlier, I think that things like that, I generally watch them because they don't feel like they're trying to push something to me or sell me something. Some do, even though they're using like low gear equipment, but still, it's the communication and that disconnect that you mentioned. All these other videos have. But
so on that note, Adrian, it's what I've come up with is a hybrid, I want to say, so that it's not the quite like holding your phone and talking into it like a video of this sense. It's still holding your phone. Someone will be filming you, but because you're holding it sideways, because you're filming it widescreen, and you're going to be filming the person in your home. So let's say I'll actually be doing the main video for Emotional Click, and my wife is going to be filming it. She's going to be holding a little Steadicam that we get that I recommend buying on the course. And then she'll be holding the camera, filming me walk through the Emotional Click video, and we're going to shoot it at our own home. So one of the things the course teaches is, where do you have access to shoot for free? And normally where you have something for free is somewhere where your heart is. It's either a connection through a friend, or it's your home, or it's somewhere where you work. And that will also add to the connection that is felt. Because like you said, when you watch a highly produced, highly big budget ad, you're paying extravagant money for a location, and you don't feel in the location. You don't feel at home. It's not your place. So how are you going to feel fully at home inside yourself when you're marketing into the camera? So it's a very do-it-yourself, A to Z, how to create a video that's still having the cinematic style of an ad, but you don't need the big fancy camera, and it's going to be done from your own phone.
Got it. You know what makes me think of? Looking at those overly produced videos that we talked about that you used in the Beard Club ads, which were mind-blowing again, where, like you said, location was probably expensive. I remember one of them, you were in the desert, then you were in the jungle, then you were somewhere, I don't know, tropical, somewhere else. I bet all that, and plus the crew and folks involved that show up on camera there, all that must have cost money to transport them, and the equipment and the audio. You can tell you spend a lot of dough on that. So that's great. And what I was gonna say is, looking at that and looking at this product today, it sounds to me like you've learned from that experience how not to do things, or how to flip a coin and do it differently, and even build a business around it. When did that switch or flip happen for you, and what triggered it?
Well, some of those productions that you talked about, it's funny you used the word mind-blowing. You said your videos are mind-blowing, and I'm looking to make all of the videos that people produce themselves through Emotional Click heart-blowing.
I love that.
Not so extravagant, because they were draining. Like, I would take months sometimes to really recover from the energy that was outpoured from the whole production and the setup. And it's mentally exhausting. Like, a lot of it goes into it. Yeah, and then I also feel that it's not fully accurate. Then when people watch it, they're projecting an image of you that's not true. Like, I don't actually ride camels in the desert, or hang out in the jungle and that kind of thing. So it feels like you have to live up to an image in some sense to someone you're not. Whereas Emotional Click allows you to drop into the comfort of who you are. The course specifically says that it only works when someone in the company is the face of the video. You're not hiring an actor. You don't buy the Emotional Click course to write a script and then go give it to an actor to act. Yeah. You buy the Emotional Click course to go through it, write the script, and be one of the owners of the company, a manager, a chief marketing officer, someone who has an emotional connection to the brand. And you film it simple in the comfort of your own space. And in my feel is it gives a better connection to the audience, because the emotional connection that we used in my past ventures is still there, but the glamour and the glitz and the extravagance is not. And that's the part that I feel people don't connect to on a heart level.
So Christopher, tell me, how do we link the fact that both videos, whether it's super overly produced and it doesn't necessarily come from a good heart, it's more like, hey, buy this product, let me amaze you about reasons why and benefits, versus the one that makes an emotional connection? Both of them are telling you a story. Like you mentioned earlier, riding a camel through the desert and jumping from scene to scene. There must have been a story that had maybe a linear sense in there to convince you to buy the product, or see the value, or see the problem. And then Emotional Click, I would assume you're sharing a story as well, but how do those stories differentiate from one method to another?
One is based in surrendering the result of whether or not the viewer turns into a customer, and the other one is controlled. So when you do something big, high budget, you use the word convince. I feel like that's exactly what the intention is to convince someone that they need the product. Right. And you are looking to control the result and control their feelings. Emotional Click takes a surrender standpoint. You are not going into the numbers here. This is a complete exercise in trust that by marketing from the heart without an agenda, in the terms of like, we need to manipulate the minds of the customer or make something appear more than it is, or convince them that they need this in their life. Yeah. It's taken the approach of, we're going to see if you resonate with the feelings that our business is here to solve. If you enjoy it and if you like it, we're here to serve you. If not, thank you for watching. So it's a very laid back, passive stance that goes into surrender and trust when it comes to the marketing. Because from a spiritual standpoint, in my experience, I do believe that to some degree, what you put out in the world comes back to you. So if you're putting out manipulative messages or fear-based messages or scarcity messages or big budget messages in your videos, then that energy in some sense or another can come back to your field. But when you're putting out stuff that feels so good for you to sleep at night in your heart, then everything feels a lot more clean in a person's life is my feel.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. And I have seen a bunch of videos that were not necessarily tailored to be ads. Maybe they were, but I didn't check. But I have seen some influencers doing maybe a soft version of what you're describing right now. Obviously, they haven't gone through your course and all that knowledge sharing. But I wonder, how would your product compete to people who are actually doing this naturally, but maybe they're still not there? But I don't know, just thinking, as you were stripping technology away and we're focusing on the core of yourself and who you are as an individual and what your business is about and the whole emotional structure of things, how easy is it for someone to copy what you're doing or do it on their own? I understand the value added, but how is it for another business to do what you're setting up to do? And of course, I'll say one last thing, which is maybe because you're in an early stage with this product, you might pivot a bunch of times and turn into something that's maybe a little bit different than what it is today or completely different. So that can be the case as well. But I'm just poking at trying to understand how easy is it for someone to steal this idea and run with it. Of course, it's going to be difficult because you're the subject matter expert in this. But it does arise as a question because I would say everyone today. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I'm taking the same approach with marketing Emotional Click as Emotional Click is going to teach people to market with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's first and foremost. If someone has the ability to go and to steal something, all the power to them. That's part of the surrender and the trust.
Mm-hmm.
This world that we live in has different vibrations, different energies, different people. And this is catered towards the people that want to buy a course, go through the course online, learn through it and do it. So I'm not putting, I'm a big believer that what we think turns into our actions and turns into our feelings in our life, and that energy goes where thought goes. So I'm keeping on what I can control, and that's putting out a great product that people feel a connection with.
Got it. I'm thinking now, because you are in an early phase with building a new brand, new company, new product, new service. How do you go about road mapping and prioritizing what you're going to build next, or which are the features or segments of your course that you're going to do next? Like how do you structure things like that?
Great question. Very differently than the past. In the past, it was all about road mapping and structure and organization. Now, the way that I'm working on it mostly is my motto is one step at a time. And I take the step that feels clear, and that's it. So certain days it's working on the legal structure of the business and who I want to be the payment processor, because it's coming up of, oh, this is a step I need to take.
Yeah.
And then another day it's, okay, I'm ready to knock out 3 or 5 videos on the recording, and I'll start recording them. What I'm not doing is creating a big plan to go about the execution of it. Because as you touched on in your last question, you said perhaps you'll pivot a lot as you go.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm having the openness to be able to pivot as I'm creating it, because I don't have a plan. And part of that is because it feels good and it's what's in my realm of doability right now. And the other part is having 2 children and we have full days here, and I love spending lots of time with them and my wife and stuff. So it's there's not the whole very linear execution of a big plan that I'm used to from the past. This is kind of a new way of do what comes up in my heart on the day. If I feel like working on it today, I'll work on it. If I'm not so into it today, I won't work on it.
That's great hearing. And I have heard this similar pattern recently. I don't recall who said it, if it was a podcast or if it was an article I read. Maybe I can find it after this recording. But they were saying something similar, which is road mapping and planning too far ahead could kind of be at your own loss in the mid to long term. Maybe it works great for large organizations, but for startups, you might not want to do that. You might want to focus on today and now, like what can I do today, and just organically move from day to day, maybe week to week. Let's say a week you can plan ahead, but not going crazier than that. And that also stops you from making too many mistakes and assumptions on what a product or service or business is going to turn out to be. Because if you look too far ahead, then you're already kind of locking yourself down to the specifics of those, versus going step by step. Well, today maybe you'll come up with a twist to the original idea, but if you already had a long-term roadmap, you're not going to be able to tweak it or to implement that twist that came as a crazy idea today, or try it out, because you have this longer term vision, which requires more work as well, because you want to get there and you're going to ignore all these other ideas you're getting down the line. So I definitely align with this whole concept of let's say it's not road mapping or short-term road mapping, or not being bothered by yeah one day at a time.
It's so true, Adrian. It's an old saying, one day at a time. I feel like a lot of the older generations are really good at living that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely see children living that way, of one day at a time. And it feels like when you're not a youth and you're not a senior citizen, it's like you get rid of the one day at a time and everything has to be planned. So I'm definitely on not even the 1 week at a time. I'm on the one day at a time. And it's been like that for Emotional Click for the past year and a half of really taking things day by day. And it's already evolved so much from my original plan was to launch it and charge a really high ticket amount, work with big brands and corporations to teach them what I've done in the past. And then it's evolved through all of the personal growth I've gone through of working on it a day at a time to go, whoa, this is not even aligned with me anymore. To get down to the nuts and bolts of what Emotional Click is today, which is an offer that's very affordable and allows anyone to jump in and enjoy the process of learning and turn anyone into a creator. Because I feel like a lot of people potentially when you get too much in your logical mind, I've heard different people say, I'm not creative, I can't do that. And this course breaks it down so that, yes, indeed, you are creative and you can do that.
So can anyone pick up the course without any experience? Let's say a mom and pop shop, I don't know, they want to get switch their brick and mortar business online or have it as a side revenue. Can anyone just pick it up and get going and see an ROI from it?
100%. Anybody. It requires no previous experience with script writing, no previous experience with filming, because the way that it walks you through writing the script, I use the language that as I'm going through it to write the script so that a 5th grade student can comprehend what's being said. It's very simple, very clean. It starts there, and then the language grows and it becomes more shiny. And anyone can hold their iPhone this way. You can have a friend hold it on a Steadicam. You can use AirPods. That's what I use when I record. Apple's little AirPod that goes in your ear. And it's like, big deal if you see the person on camera with an AirPod in their ear. It's not the high, super flashy budget anymore. It's real and it works and it gets the picture onto the screen, and you can edit the video in all sorts of software these days, in a very simple way. It's minimal editing required. So yes, indeed, Whether you're an advanced brand who's already used to high budget video production and you want to switch to a more emotionally based heart connection, this is for you. Whether you're a mom and pop shop and you are brick and mortar and you have no experience online, but you want to go online.
You mentioned earlier you've been working on this for over a year and a half, and I guess it's quite a long duration of time until releasing something when you're in a startup environment. Would you consider yourself a solopreneur, or do you have a team working on this? Are you funded? Are you looking for funding? Like, what's the financial situation there in terms of launching this product soon?
Not looking for funding. Solopreneur on it. I originally started working on it with a partner for a while, who helped me flush out the concept in different ways. And at that time was when we were talking more about the high ticket. And after I went my own way, that I was able to take things that I learned from the past and what we had been working on to bring it to where it is now. So the other thing, I had a child in that time. My second daughter was born, and we've moved 2 houses. So there have been periods over the year and a half where I haven't done anything on it for a month or possibly even 2 at a time. But because it's day to day, today, okay, I'm not doing anything on it. Tomorrow, no, I'm not doing anything on it. Tomorrow, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to go back let's pick up where I left off. So I'm trusting the process, and that it's going to be ready when it's ready, and it's going to be awesome when it is. And I'm now at the point where I'm done changing the concept. I'm done changing the offer. I'm done changing how it's going to be presented. That's all crystal clear. So I'm almost at a place where it's ready to be launched in a beta.
Getting to a place where things are crystal clear requires sometimes, well, first of all, requires a lot of decisions. But how do you go around not cutting corners, or cutting the right corners on things you do, the things you build? Let's say technical tools you're going to pick in terms of solutions for building whatever you're building. Can cutting corners hurt, or can it help, or it depends on the context? Because I know startups, they're fast decision makers, startup owners, and their key focus is the business value they bring to their audience and putting the product, MVP, minimum viable product, out there as fast as possible. So that sometimes involves cutting corners on things. Have you done any of that? How does that affect any recommendations you have for other listeners who are in the tech industry, startup world?
Well, I'm definitely doing this in a more unique space than my past. Building my old companies, we were in the fast-paced spot where it's make decisions quick and you got to move forward with it. We also had investors on board, and there's a lot of subconscious pressure of pay them back, get to market, competition. What if someone steals this? All that kind of stuff that's no longer a part of me or the way that I operate. So I wouldn't even, well, I guess you could call this a startup, but to me, a startup is when you at least have other employees or friends that you're working with, and you have some capital, whether it's self-funded or someone else. Whereas the money that's going into Emotional Click now, it's only my brain. It's my energy, my wife, feedback. I've spoke with you in the past that you didn't charge me anything. I sat down and you gave me some valuable feedback that at the time where Emotional Click was at was so radically different than where it's at today. So, maybe there's a different term. It's like an entrepreneurial dad, and it's like working at the speed of love from your home. And to me, the speed of love is sometimes you do nothing on a business for a month because your love is directed elsewhere. And sometimes you can't wait to work on it every day because that's where your focus and your love is on that day.
Yeah, I bet. And as a father as well, I feel the pain and also the gratitude as well, of course, having this kind of level of responsibility in my life. But I do feel those days passing by. Sometimes I'm happy those days pass by and I don't work on client work or on podcasts or on future products or anything like that. But some days they feel frustrating. Some, like I feel like, oh, today would be the day where I feel I have the right energy and ideas to even just pen and paper and take that time to do it. But because of current environments, kids, whatever, other things, you don't always get a chance. So I would say I definitely empathize with you there, because I know how hard it is to navigate between personal life, business, and everything in between. So I
Shifting away from emotional click now and talking a bit more about being a dad and what you touched on there. In the past, I would definitely get frustrated as well when a day would go by and I didn't capitalize and have a very productive day of creation.
Mhm.
And now I've seen that pattern in myself. I've done a lot of work to uplift it and dissolve it from a personal growth standpoint, because in my experience, that came from fear of not getting somewhere faster. It came from the fear of time equals money. I've really done a lot of work too on separating time and money into separate buckets and having them have nothing to do with each other in terms of trading time for money, or you're racing against a clock to get something out. And in my experience, becoming a dad and being able to have children, I can now channel that frustration if I'm like, wow, I want to be productive today, but I'm not really in the mood. Well, again, you and I did it. We both synchronistically decided on the same day, let's take this day off work and let's go tubing and head to the ski hills with our family and our girls. And we had fun, and it turned into an awesome day that actually had some business chat to it and some breakthroughs involved that wasn't planned. And that kind of thing has really become my new flow, and letting go of needing to be productive. When I'm inspired, that's what I say now. I work from inspiration. When I'm inspired, I'll do work, I'll do creation. When I'm not inspired, I'm not going to. And I've done my time. I had an exit from Beard Club. We created a nest egg to be able to live off of and have our beautiful, simple life up here in Canada that doesn't involve much maintenance, to be able to create from this standpoint. I've not always been in the luxury of being able to sit back and create at the speed of love. There were times in my life before I was married and had children where I was, running after money at a faster pace. So chapters of life are everything. The space you're in is everything, and it's to each their own.
No, and I bet you've learned a lot from that experience, including the fact of knowing how to separate the time and the money buckets, and to work when you feel inspired. Almost like an artist. You only paint when you feel inspired. When you don't feel inspired, you do, outdoor activities that will create that inspiration for later on. So, all great points. So listen, Chris, I keep doing this, and I know you hate me for it. I sometimes say Chris, sometimes I say Christopher. What's your preference?
You know what? I appreciate you asking. Well, if you talk about Googling and the stuff on me on the internet, it's all Chris. But I was Christopher in my childhood, and it got lost somewhere along the way. I find this society has this funny thing where professionally, when you introduce yourself by the name that you want to be called, everyone calls you that.
Right.
But your friends all shorten your name or give you a nickname. And that's another thing I'm kind of working through of like, I feel that a part of me responds slightly differently if someone calls me like a different name or a nickname. It's like I have these buckets of myself in different parts. So I am doing work on being more congruent with who I am and showing up the same way, whether it's with friends or family member or professionally, so that I don't have to keep track of who I am depending on the person who I show up in front of. So yes, I do prefer Christopher and the full length version of my name these days.
All right, Christopher. What I was going to ask you is, in the tech world, you see a lot of things happening, a lot of companies, a lot of trends. Are there any specific companies, and you can name one or two, doesn't have to be a lot, that you admire a lot for how they help make this world better, that you would that comes to mind?
Not so much anymore because I've really been out of the loop. We don't have a TV in our house anymore, and I'm not kind of tuned into the latest movies and news and that kind of thing. And I definitely don't look at it on my computer.
Maybe products you already use today, and
But yeah,
yeah.
inspirational company, Dollar Shave Club was one for sure. I was blown away by their model. I really got me interested in the subscription space and having a low ticket item and selling a lot of it rather than a high ticket item and selling a little bit of it. So they were for sure an inspiration to me. And then these days, or you know what, perhaps I'll flip this question on you, Adrian, and ask, I'm still looking for a good piece of software that comes for like task management and that will work with my day-to-day philosophy so that if ideas do come up on and there's a few things I want to knock out, it feels like some of the stuff out there is so robust and it's not needed. And I want something that's simple and clean, and it's a piece of inspirational software that keeps my stuff organized. So it's like, it's less than what Asana or Slack would offer, but it's more than the notepad on your iPhone.
Got it. Something that can be maybe configurable. You can turn things on and off and adapt it to your needs. Even something, I would love to have a tool like that. One that learns about your habits and changes and adapts, maybe with some AI engine behind it, or I don't know.
And it doesn't exist anymore. It was called Wunderlist.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
And that felt like cool. It's not meant for task management per se, but I used it in that way. And I think it can be, but they've shifted to something. Microsoft bought them. And that's definitely an inspirational piece of software that I'm going to look back up after this call. Actually, dude, now you got me going. I'm pumped to get this back in. So Wunderlist, if you search this,
I've used it.
Wunderlist is dead. Microsoft to-do list app replaced Wunderlist. So it's called Microsoft To-Do.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. There you go. So that's
on
the
that,
answer to my question.
Would you ever see emotional click? Would you ever see yourself exiting emotional click one day as well?
No, I don't. That's actually another cool reason that my philosophy has shifted, because every business I've worked on in the past has all been like, work on it to get the numbers big, to get an exit.
Yeah.
And I did that. And now I'm here. So I'm looking to build something sustainable that feels fun to work on. I'm not doing this for the purpose of money first. Money is a part of the equation, undoubtedly, but it's like a more philanthropist, like that kind of approach to be able to give back so much of what I've learned. And do it in a place where it feels fun to add on, or it feels fun to build another module or another arm, because it inspires me, and then the money comes in. But no, I don't really ever see it being something that I'll ever go after for an exit.
Yeah, I mean, things can change, but for now, you don't feel it that way, which is great. You also, I feel like when you have an exit in mind, maybe you don't even pour in the best of yourself. You know, like it's just a quick job. Let's do it, make some money, get out. So I like the new you. So and I bet this is gonna be a hard blowing product, and it's definitely gonna attract a lot of success. I know we're close at time, so I just want to ask, where can people find you? If you can share, maybe, I don't know, if you're on social or an email address or anything like that.
Definitely. I have a personal website, stoikos.ca.
Okay.
I have a couple songs on Spotify that are coming out in the next month or so.
Sweet.
So that's a cool, different artistic avenue where you can find that. And then Instagram, I have an Instagram account at cstoikos17. So that's CSTOIKOS 17.
And for the emotional click side of things, what's the website that people can try once?
Emotionalclick.com.
Okay, simple. Awesome. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here, Christopher. I think I enjoyed it. I don't know, how did you enjoy the combo.
Completely. Yeah, this is awesome. It definitely it shifted from the beginning, and it eased up, and I loved it. Got more into anytime you do an introspection. You were very good at interviewing and led me through my emotions, and um, allowed me to see what questions I didn't resonate with or want to answer because they're not a part of what I'm building.
Right.
And then the questions that I did want to brought my energy more up. So it was good. It was a fun process for me, and I hope the listeners enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure. I hope so too. Thank you so much, Christopher. And that's it. That's it for this episode. Thank you.
It's good, Adrian. Take care.
Take it easy, man. Bye.